Oliver Lozano,
Aye.
Antonio Alvarez, Carlos Ayala, Claudio Portillo, Cristina Rodriguez, Dina Lopez, Dina Guerra, Elizabeth Reyes,
Aye.
Elizabeth Salinas, Stella Garza, Graciela Abrego,
Aye.
Jaime Miranda, Jake Gonzalez, James Martinez, Jeremy San Miguel, Kayla Buentello, Crystal Marroquin, Crystal Chapel, Leslie Orozco,
Aye.
thank you, Matthew Monkus, Matthew Lerma, Myra Garcia, Melissa Martinez, Miraida Torres Avila, Omar Nedzelski, Rolando Segovia, Timothy Odoms, Yesenia Carter, Mr. President, quorum has been established.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Staff Senate General Meeting for the month of April. Welcome everybody to this morning. First business that we are going to approve the minutes. Is there a motion for approval of February 2025 and March of 2025 meeting minutes? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please state aye in the team chat. All opposed and any abstentions. Okay, the February 2025 and March 2025 meeting minutes have been approved. Moving along with the agenda, we'll begin with our first speaker. He comes from the College of Fine Arts, Richard Burrows. Good morning.
Good morning, Rolando. Hello.
Oh, welcome. Welcome to Staff Senate.
Thank you.
Whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
All right. Thanks very much. Good morning, everyone. I realized this morning when I woke up that I actually have been here 6 months. It's been a pretty much of a whirlwind. I moved here from Northwest Arkansas, where I was superintendent of a fine arts school district. And after COVID, I sort of decided that I didn't want to be a superintendent during COVID anymore. It was a big challenge. I mean, all the students studied from home, all the teachers taught from home, and it's a hard nut to crack to have students try and rehearse dance, music, theater, and do visual arts activities from their bedrooms. So I thought I'd had that experience. When the opportunity revealed itself for the position here at UTRGV in fine arts, I really thought that this really was probably the ultimate or the penultimate assemblage of all of my experiences up to this point. So it seemed like a good fit, a good match. Just as a kind of a piece of background, I was for 22 years a professional dancer and choreographer, and toured Russia, Europe, South America, and the Far East, and performed in all 50 states, as well as Canada. So that was an exciting time, but it's a good thing to do when you're young. And by the time I turned 38, I said, I think I need to hang up my dancing shoes, because that was about as long as I think I wanted to do that kind of activity. I was uh, had appointments at 3 universities, and I finally did get tenure at Ohio State. Um, and once again, I thought I'm too young to settle in for a long winter's nap as a professor. So the day after I got tenure, I resigned and moved back to the West Coast to start a whole new career in arts administration, and did that for a number of years, running 3 nonprofits. I also was the director of arts for 3 school districts, including Los Angeles Unified School District, Newark Public Schools in New Jersey, and of course the Fine Arts School District in Arkansas. And I ran 3 federal contracts with the Department of Education. So if you put those all one after another, I'm 378 years old, but most of those things actually happened at the same time. So this opportunity here at UTRGV might have sounded like an unusual step in my work, but in fact, as a child, I moved 38 times. And 2 of those times, my dad worked for an oil company, were here in Texas, Sweetwater, Texas, which is a town the size of a postage stamp. And then I also was a kid on the coast in Brownsville, Texas. Who would have thought that I would come back to Rio Grande Valley? So happy to be here. I'll make note that yesterday, April 23rd, was the celebration of 10 years of creativity here at UTRGV. It was 10 years ago that the Performing Arts Complex opened, the ribbon cutting. It was, of course, UT Pan Am at the time, but an exciting opportunity. And if you happen to see any of the social media connections, what will be interesting is they show the Fine Arts Auditorium before it was taken down and the new facility was built. And aside from its night and day, we really do have one of the finest facilities in Texas, and so we should be very proud of that here. And even though it's 10 years old, it looks pretty brand spanking new to me at this point. So what's my job here? So it's a new division within the College of Fine Arts called UTRGV Arts. And so it's really the professional staff and organization who run the Performing Arts Center and the complexes that are part of dance, music, theater, visual arts, and creative writing. So their rehearsal spaces are managed by us. The performance schedules for the PAC are managed by us. And the reason to create this new division was to really consolidate and coordinate and improve I call it the inside and the outside of UTRGV, to bring the departments within fine arts together in a more comprehensive and cohesive way in terms of their presentations and exhibitions, to work effectively with the outside community, because this is a very rich cultural landscape in Rio Grande Valley. And so to make sure that they feel welcome, that this is part of their space, even if they're not part of the university proper. And I'm keenly interested in making sure that young people in Rio Grande Valley don't just skateboard by or drive by or walk by and not think that UTRGV is not part of their entitlement, and to invite them into this campus in ways which make sure that they think that this is an option for them to come to school. And I think we've been pretty successful in that. There are 2 signature programs, that's what I say, here on campus. One is athletics. We know that's a big thing here. And it draws a great deal of attention from staff, students, and the community. But the 1,700 students and several hundred faculty in fine arts probably has an equal presentation and sense of who we are at UT-RGV, because we're always out there doing the kinds of performances and exhibitions that people are interested in seeing. So we may be small, but we are at least as mighty as any football team, any basketball team, any tennis group. So we're proud to be sort of at the face of who we are as a university. Um, I did want to share that I'm trying to work on revamping and reorganizing the perception of what the programs for UT RGV Arts is, because up till now, this is just pretty typical in institutions, is that every year we've just added another thing and added another thing and put another thing on top of something else, and then scotch tape two other things together. And we haven't taken the time to reassess what is the point of that, and how can we communicate this more effectively to the community. So I'm sort of conceptually reorganizing how the visual and performing arts and creative writing are shared with the community and with students and the rest of faculty and staff. So I won't give you the names of the reconceptualization, but it really is going to be part of invitational programs, meaning that we invite experts in the field of fine arts to come to campus to share their expertise with our community. That a newly initiated campus and community collaborations partnership will allow us to make the dynamics of what goes on culturally and artistically in the Rio Grande Valley are part of everybody's work, not just some people's responsibility. A couple of new programs. Although these programs exist, they've never sort of existed inside a particular box or basket. One is to feature our faculty and their skills in the visual and performing arts, and then to feature students both as soloists and as members of ensembles, so that when people are interested in seeing young people perform and be a part of the experience here at the university, they know that they can go to this particular section and see all the things that are happening with students. I know that Festiva has been around for a long time. I did produce that this last February. But it has a kind of an identity that stands alone or separate from the fine arts, and the same would be true. Although I think it's not really true. Performing arts is quite visual, but the visual and performing arts exhibitions are in a building that's not on campus. It's some distance away, and I think they feel isolated. So I'm combining Festiva and art and artifacts and gallery presentations into a single category called collections. And collections is really the multiple ways that people can contribute to the life and style of arts and culture here on campus. And then finally, a new program called Vaquero Arts Engagement, which allows us to bring 7th and 8th graders here to campus to experience what the arts can be like within a university setting. 9th and 10th graders who will come here and be an arts major for a day. So they get to take workshops and be involved in lots of different kinds of interesting activities. And then by the time they're in 11th and 12th grade, we're really on the recruitment track with them and bringing them here so that they can see themselves within the context of being at the university. I thought I would share, I can't, so here it is. This is it, but I'm not going to show it to you yet. I'm just going to describe it. This is part of our work for the last 6 months in trying to have a new season, 2025-2026. And I just thought I would share with you the 6 or 7 groups that we're thinking about bringing in for this next school year. First in October is Daniel Pardo. He's an international flute musician, well recognized, has a number of accolades. He's professor of flute at Prairie View A&M on the other side of our state, and excited because he is an expert in Chinese flute, pan flute, Peruvian flutes, Egyptian flutes. He even has a flute that he has to put on like a suit because it's so big in the shape of the number 4 that and it's a deep bass flute. So it'll be kind of an exciting opportunity. Second, in December, and they're creating this program just for us, is Mariachi Mariposas. They're creating their first ever holiday program in mariachi music. They're an all-female mariachi company. And they said, we've just been waiting for someone to ask us to do a Christmas show. So this will be the first time ever, and we hope that that will be an annual event. In February, Carmen Tafoya, who is the Texas Poet Laureate, will be here to share her storytelling and her books. And she'll be working with the Gear Up students who will be coming in as a part of Festiva during February. So here's an example of the campus and community collaborations. The Valley Symphony Orchestra in McAllen and UT RGV Arts is putting together a collaborative program of Handel's Messiah at Easter in April next year. And this would be multiple orchestras, multiple choir members, multiple directors, and the entire event will finish with a community sing-along of the Hallelujah Chorus. So you better not miss that one. That's going to be pretty amazing. Almost finished here. In May, we have the Bruce Wood Dance from Dallas. They're probably one of the finest dance companies in America, very athletic, really exciting groups of performers. They've been with the company for over 20 years. And we're lucky to get them in the schedule because they do most of their touring out of Texas at this moment. And then finally, because I really believe in the community aspect of what goes on here, we're working to present a multimedia program called 25 Postcards from the Border, written by a man whose family was from Brownsville. He's a professor of literature in UT Austin, and his presentation is a combination of 25 postcards he wrote to his daughter when she was 11 years old in traveling up and down the Rio Grande Valley and the Rio Grande River and into northern Mexico. And he created a multimedia presentation of the postcards, his storytelling, and musicians that are well known in the Brownsville area. So this particular performance will be both in Edinburgh and in Brownsville. And we're seeking to be on the national list of what's called America 250, because this is during the 4th of July time and the 250th anniversary of America. This is our unique American story that's going to be told by people from our own community. And in many ways, it will debunk some of the political or politicization of the border in our own community, because this is where people live and this is where their families are, and this is a story that will be told sensitively and impressively. I'm thrilled to be here, excited to have this opportunity to share some time with the Staff Senate. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I've only been here 6 months, so if I don't know the answer, I'll just make up something.
Well, thank you so much for that information. That sounds very, very amazing. And your credentials are astounding. It's just wow. But yeah, thank you so much for presenting. Just a quick question. Are the activities that you are going to be having or events, will they also be shown in the Brownsville campus as well?
Depends on the nature of the event, because we don't have our own major performance space in Brownsville and have to work with the college next door for the big events. We only get 4 or 5 of those events a year. So some of the smaller events can occur in different facilities there. I can't predict when the Majestic Theater will come online. I might be dead, but but I mean, that's a big effort. That's a big lift to get that space to the place where it can accommodate both things here and there as a part of the work. But we make a commitment as a staff in UT RGV Arts to spend at least 1 day in Brownsville with the arts staff there, so that we feel like we're a united campus across all aspects of the work. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds great. Another question. In your opinion, what benefits an individual when they go to an art exhibit or see theater or see a dance company? In your opinion, what benefits that of the individual? Or
Well,
what?
that's a great question, Rolando, and I think I boil it down to almost one important aspect, aside from the fact that these kinds of presentations, whether they're part of traditional presentations, cultural presentations, or new innovations that are being shared, is that attending or participating in arts activities teaches you about yourself. I mean, it probably for some people is, well, I'm very entertained by the activities that I'm participating in. But in order for that activity to have meaning, you have to see yourself in it. And part of seeing yourself in a performing arts activity or presentation or an exhibition is that you have the capacity or ability to look inside yourself to see what it is that you have as similarities with that presentation, or what differences you might have. I always think of this in terms of my dad. I called this the Bob factor. That was his name. And all these years, I would say, "Well, Dad, what do you think about that particular performance?" He said, "I don't like it." And I said, "Why?" He says, "Well, I don't know why. I just don't like it." Or he would say, he'd go to an exhibit and he'd say, "Oh, I like it." "Why, Dad? What do you like about it?" "I don't know. I just like it." So he was just one of those people who he liked it or he didn't like it. And mostly he would have that as the answer because he didn't know how to look inside himself and find the connection to the performance or the exhibition. Later in his life, he got a little better at it, but that was just because I was his tutor and teacher trying to get him to break out. My mother, on the other hand, would say, "Oh, Bob." So to me, that's really the primary reason to participate in these activities. It's a way to learn about yourself.
Yeah. So you would just encourage people just to attend, even if they don't know, um, say, for example, ballet, just to
Yeah.
go and attend just so you can see, what they go through, the dancers, or,
Right.
the feel that you may get when viewing that type of dance.
Right. It's sort of like taking a chance on your own opinions. I often say to people when they say, "Well, I don't know anything about orchestral music," and I say, "Well, then don't come alone. Bring a friend." At least you can share your experiences with the person you're coming with, and I think people are often surprised at how much they enjoy something that they'd never had as an experience.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, I know you've only been here for 6 months, but what do you see your vision for UTRGV in arts? Like, what do you see down the road that UTRGV can become, including arts, for the Valley, especially?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a pretty strong sense of this that the campus here and in Brownsville really have the opportunity to make South Texas a cultural and artistic destination. So, they may have a South by Southwest north of us, but I think there's going to be a relationship between Mexico and the Rio Grande Valley that will show this as a place of great depth and experience and joy in arts and culture activities. And so at some point, in the old days, they used to say, "Oh, New York City, that's where it's at." I'm just waiting for them to say UTRGV, that's where it's at. So just it'll take 7 to 10 years, but I'm on it.
There you go. That sounds amazing. Is there any questions or answers for Mr. Burrows?
Oh, I guess I'll finish it off. It'll be, you could look at my career and the experiences that I bring forward to this, and you can have one of two opinions about me. One is I'm extremely talented and I can do anything, or I can't keep a job. So, but this is the last job. I'm not going anywhere.
That's awesome.
All right.
But if there's no further any questions or comments, thank you so much for spending your time with us. And thank you for showing a light of all the activities that are going to be coming. We are very excited. Staff Senate will be happy to attend any events. But thank you for your time.
Yes. Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Our next speaker is Hector Guerrero from Human Resources and Regulatory Affairs. Hector?
I'm here. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. Let me share my screen. What is going on? Can you guys see?
We can see you. We can't see your screen.
How about now?
Yes, we
Now
can see
we
your
can.
screen.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So today we'll be talking about the annual evaluations. I think most of you know that they're live. It's that time of the year again that we need to start working on the evaluations. Today we'll be going over a quick overview of the process, the deadline. I'm going to show you what the evaluation looks like as well. One thing to note is that if you want a more detailed training, we do have training starting actually today at 3:30. So if you go to the HR training portal, you can sign up. We have one every week starting today. We also offer departmental trainings. So if that's something that your department might want to do, just send us an email at hreva@utrgv, and we can go to either online or in person. If you have questions along the way, free to stop me or also put it in the chat. I know Deborah Torres from our team is in the she's here as well, so she'll be able to answer any questions in the chat. Okay, you guys can see the training, right? Because it doesn't show what screen I'm sharing.
No, we see your PowerPoint.
Okay, the PowerPoint, yeah. Okay, perfect. All right, so the annual evaluations, I mean, obviously it's the name, it's an annual thing. They're due May 31st of every year. So this time around, May 31st, 2025. The evaluation period is from May 1st, 2024 to April 30th, 2025. And the reason that's important is essentially if you're an employee and doing a self-evaluation, or if you're a supervisor evaluating an employee, that is the period that you're going to use to grab examples from. If another thing to keep in mind is if you are an employee or if you're a supervisor evaluating an employee and that employee was out on leave, let's say hypothetical scenario, they were on FMLA and it was from January 1st to January 31st of this year, then as an employee self-evaluating, don't include any examples from that time. And as an supervisor evaluating that employee, same thing. Make sure that you exclude that period when the employee was out. And if you're the supervisor and you're unsure, you can reach out to our team and we can inform you exactly of, okay, from this day to this day, employee was out on leave, so don't include any examples from that time. Another thing to keep in mind is that the annual evaluations does not apply to faculty. However, faculty are responsible to do evaluations of their employees if they are full-time staff. And as a faculty member, you'll be able to see if you go into the portal, which I'll show you guys in a second, to see if you have any evaluations that are pending. It doesn't apply to direct wage employees, student employees, anybody who's been here less than 4.5 months or working less than 20 hours. So essentially, it applies to full-time employees. It doesn't apply either to anybody who started working here January forward. However, you could be a transfer, and if you're a transfer employee that has been here throughout the evaluation period, then the evaluation does apply to you. However, there's a very specific process for that. And the way it works, and we in HR, we communicate with the previous supervisor and the current supervisor, is a collaboration between the previous supervisor doing the evaluation and the current supervisor doing the development plan, which are the goals for the upcoming year. So if you have an employee who is in that scenario, or if you yourself an employee who is in that specific scenario where they transfer, or even if you're a supervisor and you became a new supervisor of a department and now you have new employees under you, reach out to me. That way I can do two things. One, identify who the previous supervisor is. And then the second thing I will do is email you both, the previous supervisor and the current, with instructions. I think somebody had their hand up. I can't really
Yeah,
tell.
it was in regards to the question of the transfer.
Oh, okay, perfect. Any other questions about
Okay.
that
Jennifer,
line?
was your question answered?
Yes, it was, but just to clarify, so we should reach out to you to figure out how we do that joint evaluation for an employee who has transferred.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And essentially, I mean, I'm checking to see who the current supervisor is. In this case, if it's you, then I'm also checking who the previous supervisor is. And then what I'll do is just email you both at the same time with specific instructions as to who goes first. Because unfortunately, the evaluation can't live at two places at once. It needs to be just at one place. So I need to move it from the current supervisor. Once that individual is done, then I need to transfer it to the previous and then move it back. So it's just a matter of me manually moving it back and forth with instructions, obviously, to the current and previous supervisor. Who's involved? We have the employee, pretty straightforward. They're being evaluated. Or if they do a self-evaluation, then the employee will have that option. Something to keep in mind is that the self-evaluation is not a requirement. PeopleSoft will actually allow the supervisor to move forward without the self-evaluation. However, if you're an employee and you don't know if your supervisor wants you to do a self-evaluation, my suggestion is to reach out to them and see if what is their expectation when it comes to the self-evaluation, whether they want you to do it or not. As a supervisor, your responsibility is to do the evaluation. My suggestion for the supervisors in the room is ensure that you communicate with your employee if you want them to do the self-evaluation or not. At the end of the day, we in HR, we highly encourage supervisors to give your employees an opportunity to do the self-evaluation, but it's really up to the department, the division, or the supervisor, whether you want them to do it or you don't. And then we have the reviewer. So you have employee, supervisor, reviewer. The reviewer, the responsibility is to basically review the evaluation. So the reviewer is the second level supervisor. So you have the supervisor. Once the supervisor clicks on the evaluation on submit, and I'll show you in a second what that looks like. Once I click on submit, it will go automatically to whoever that next level is in the system. I know in some scenarios, the reviewer is not the individual in PeopleSoft. And if that's the case, I mean, all you need to do is reach out to me and I can manually move the reviewer. Any questions about that?
So when is it is the May 31st, is that the deadline for everything, even the reviewer,
Correct, yes.
the whole process?
We do provide exceptions. However, it has to be in writing to us with the reason as to why, and it needs to be reviewed by the VP of HR, and they're the ones who say yes or no on the exception.
Like to extend the end date?
To extend, yes, sorry, to extend.
Okay, right, thank you.
But yeah, I mean, everything needs, not just the whole evaluation as complete. And I'll show you in a second what it looks like as complete. And that is what needs to be done by May 31st. So not just the self-evaluation, then you're done. No, it has to be either the self-evaluation, the manager, the reviewer, sharing it with the employee. And I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
So the classifier A&P, so we just have two forms, the classified and the administrative professional. You don't necessarily have to worry about this because what the system does is it looks at your job data, and if you're classified, they give you the classified A&P, give you the A&P. The only thing that you need to keep an eye out is for the supervisor and non-supervisor classified evaluation. And the reason for that is because we assigned the evaluations I think it was last Wednesday. So let's say hypothetical scenario, you were a supervisor throughout the whole evaluation period, and on that Wednesday, your employee left the university. Let's say you just had one employee, they moved, they transfer. So in the system, you're not a supervisor. So unfortunately, PeopleSoft doesn't go back and see, oh, they were a supervisor back then. So it will give you the non-supervisor evaluation because that day you were not a supervisor. And it goes the other way around too. If you are, let's say you became a supervisor in April, but the whole year you didn't supervise anybody, PeopleSoft unfortunately is gonna just recognize, oh, supervisor classified, let me give them the classified evaluation. But it's just a matter of reaching out to me and I can manually turn it off and give you the correct template. Any questions about classified A&P? The majority of the evaluations are classified. 98% of the staff is classified. I think this year, I think it was somewhere about 300 A&P employees. So it's not that many. So here's the staff evaluation process. So the classified, it starts with the employee self-evaluation, which is optional. Then once the employee submits, then it goes to the manager. The manager completes the evaluation. They click submit. Then it goes to the reviewer. Once the reviewer, if the reviewer denies, then it goes back to you, the manager. If the reviewer approves, you'll get an email saying either or that it was denied or approved. If it's approved, then as a supervisor, you go to the next step, which is sharing the evaluation with the employee, scheduling that one-on-one meeting to go over the evaluation. My suggestion for supervisors is to share the evaluation in advance to give an employee an opportunity to review the evaluation. And in that one-on-one meeting, you can focus on the goals and just answering questions the employee has rather than going one by one. But at the end of the day, it's really up to the supervisor how they want to handle that. Once that meeting happens, you review the evaluation, then the manager requests acknowledgement, and then employee acknowledges, and it ends. In the past, it used to go back one more step to the supervisor to click on complete. We removed that step completely, so now it just ends with the employee. Once the employee acknowledges, evaluation is final. Because we realized that most people miss that step as a supervisor going back and just clicking complete. So it's just one less step. And then the A&P does not require, I mean, it requires a self-evaluation. Then once the self-evaluation is submitted, it goes to the manager. Everything's the same. The only difference is that the A&P evaluation does not have a second reviewer. So once the manager is done, the next step is to schedule that meeting and to share the evaluation with the employee and then request acknowledgement. It doesn't go to anybody else for review. Any questions on that?
So if an employee forgets to add information to their self-evaluation, is there a way to give them access again after they submit it?
Yeah. So you can do it two ways, and I'll show you in a second. But or you can reach out to us, and yes, we can always send it back, and we can even send it back to, let's say you have a supervisor who submits the evaluation to the reviewer, and then the reviewer accidentally hits on approve, and they approve it. We can always reopen all of that. I mean, it's not, even if it's complete, it's never set in. I mean, it's set in stone unless we HR manually go in and reopen it. Yeah.
Is there an email that's being sent out to supervisors once the employee acknowledged?
Yeah. So every step of the way, so once employee submits evaluation to manager, an email is received to whoever needs to take action. So in this particular case, on the question, if you have an employee who acknowledges, then the supervisor receives an email saying, "Hey, your employee acknowledged." And it's it might go to clutter because it's like a multi-system email thing. So if you don't see it, that might be the case. But yeah, every step of the way, there's a email notification. Okay. Let me share with you guys what it looks like. So here's PeopleSoft to as an employee, you go to employees of service and then performance. And here's my current documents. In your case, you should only have one. I have two, excuse me, because I'm going to show you both the AMP and the classified. If you would like to see your previous your historical documents, you just have to go historical documents. You click on it, and this is what happened last year or 2 years ago. And something to note is that here's the status. You will see if it was completed or not. Another thing to note as a supervisor or even as an employee, I know it's kind of small, but here you see this little green arrow, green check mark that shows completed. If it's not green for the employee and complete self-evaluation, then that means they didn't do the self-evaluation, as well as for the manager. And you can also view in detail here. If you click the arrow, view, it doesn't give me here. Yeah. Okay, it should give me in the other one. So if you go to current documents, you'll be able to see the evaluations. Here's the AMP one. And the way to tell is two things. One is super short. The second way to tell is the template here. It says AMP employee. The performance, it's only performance. They enter the comments, they answer questions, and then the development plan. So every employee, regardless of classification, classifier AMP, they do the development plan. If as a supervisor, if you click this little arrow here, as you can see here, it hasn't been acknowledged, it hasn't been anything. It's still red, it hasn't been started. So once you see it green, then that means that the employee did their part. You can print it if you want. You can export it as a Word document as well. You can save it. My suggestion is with PeopleSoft, save as you go, because at times if you lose internet connection, your laptop dies, it loses battery, and you didn't save, unfortunately, that information is going to be lost. So just save as you go. So this is what the AMP evaluation looks like, and this is what the classified looks like. What the classified supervisor looks like is we have the toolkit, the quality of work, which is the essential functions, the employee performance, the manager performance. So this tab here only applies if you are a supervisor, and this includes supervisor of full-time, part-time. If in the system you show as a supervisor, you will automatically receive the supervisor evaluation. And you have to save once I'm done, if I click complete, it's gonna send it to my supervisor. You have the additional questions, development plan, and overall summary. And you can also add an attachment here at the bottom. One thing to note for the attachment is if you do add an attachment, make sure that you select the audience, both the manager and employee. For some reason, if you don't select an audience, your supervisor won't be able to see what you attach. Any other questions?
So what are some common questions that you receive this time around, this time of year?
I can, well, I guess that they can see the historical documents. So if you're a supervisor and you can see the historical documents of your employees, it usually means that you became a new supervisor. So last evaluation period, you were not their supervisor. So all you need to do is reach out to us, either to me directly or to the HR eval, and we move those historical documents to the new supervisor. Unfortunately, PeopleSoft doesn't recognize that that employee has a new supervisor, so the evaluations stay with the previous supervisor unless we move it manually.
Jennifer, you have a question?
Yeah, thanks. Last year, there was some debate about the issue of, I don't know if it's called scoring, but, meets expectations, exceeds expectations. And it seemed like there was pressure not to have high scores. And a
Okay.
lot of staff felt, or they were, scored lower than the year before, even though their performance was equally as good. And so I hope you could address that. It felt quite unfair, to be honest.
Yeah, so when it comes to the rate, I mean, that question we get it all the time. And in HR, it's not that we want obviously employees to be rated accurately and fairly. And essentially what we're looking for is, if the employee is going above and beyond, then yes, rate him at a 4 out of 5, but give examples of how that employee in that specific area, whether it is the essential functions, whether it is the other one, I can open it up. The as in being a manager, how are they going above and beyond? Because usually what we see is employees being rated as a 4 and a 5, and just either saying, I agree with the comments of the employee, or employee did really good. Like, well, yeah, I mean, yes, they are 4 and a 5, but how? Can you give examples? And it, at the end of the day, maybe what is happening is, maybe the department is trying maybe to create I'm not sure what is happening in the department, but what we usually recommend departments to do is to create a rubric that way employees are rated similar and being consistent. But I guess it might just be having a different conversation outside of here, that way I can see in detail what happened. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that would make sense, that it needs to be explained, justified with examples. That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hector, there's another question. Who decides what the essential functions are? Are supervisors telling their employees what those are? And are those decided on together?
I guess it depends. So what I encourage supervisors to do is two things. The first one is allow your employees to select the essential functions along with the job description. I mean, give the employees that opportunity to do that. And the reason I recommend having the supervisor giving the opportunity to the employee to select their essential functions is because it will give you a perspective as a supervisor as to what the employee is spending their time on. Or you don't have to follow that route. You can tell your employee, we can work together on creating your essential functions, or here are the essential functions, use the following. The third one, I don't necessarily, I mean, again, it's not really up to me, but I rather encourage supervisors to do the first one or the second one, where they work together, or they give that flexibility to the employee, as long as the employee ensures that the essential functions they're selecting fall in line with the job description.
Okay. Is there any other questions for Hector? Well, there's more questions.
Okay. Will numerical ratings on evaluations impact possible? So I can't speak to future merit races, but what I can say for sure is in the past. In the past, as long as you had a 3.0 or higher, you will be, as far as the evaluation goes, you won't be disqualified. Obviously, there's other criteria that needs to be followed, but as far as the evaluation, if you have a 3.0, you'll be part of the merit list as long as you meet all the rest of the criteria.
But if
Oh,
they do not meet expectations, if they get lower than, then that will affect them receiving a merit.
Correct. Again, going back to using the previous guidelines as an example, yes, if you have a below 3,
Mhm.
then you automatically remove from the merit list.
There's another question.
Okay. I have told that we are graded on our defined tasks, but we will not be graded on undefined tasks. We will not be graded for going over. It affects the defined task. I'm not entirely sure I understand that question. I'm sorry. Maybe I can reach out to you. I'll write your name and I'll reach out to you after this training, if that's okay to David.
Okay. So David, they will go ahead and reach out to you regarding your question. Thank you. Is there any other question or comment?
I just shared the link multiple times for the upcoming annual evaluation sessions. So that way, if anybody wants more details, the trainings are on the training portal.
Thank you, Crystal.
When do merits get integrated? Well, that's more of a. I'm sorry, but I'm here to talk about the evaluation. That would be more of a Cristina Chavez merit question. All I know as far as evaluations and merit is that as previous guidelines, as long as you have a 3 and higher, you'll be part of that list.
So yeah, that would be.
I'm here,
another-
Hector.
Oh, you're here, Christina?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
So as Hector was already saying, we're only able to speak on prior merit guidelines. So every time there's a new merit, new guidelines get written, they get reviewed, they get tweaked. So, and what happens is that the merit spreads get sent out to the divisions. So the divisions, the colleges, everybody in line with the overall merit guidelines creates their internal guidelines. So each of the colleges has a written document. So so things may vary between departments and divisions, but overall, for sure there are those individuals who don't meet because of either a low evaluation score, because of not meeting the minimum time they were with UTRGV, or I mean, there are a variety of factors. They're outlined in the merit guidelines, and every single one needs to be met together. Then the supervisor, department head, division head, they are the ones that make merit recommendations, review, and then it gets passed on to back to HR for review. And at that point, we do a review and we may question in regards to, okay, you've got somebody who's got an evaluation score of a 5, but you're not recommending this person maybe for merit. So we do look at it, we do question it, and we may ask for a justification. But it's not always a direct correlation of higher evaluation score equals higher merit, because we are aware of that different supervisors score differently. So for example, I may score a lot higher than Hector would if he would be evaluating the same person. So I may be really generous and he may be really, really harsh. But overall, we would still look at the overall HR department to say, okay, how was everybody evaluated? And then we may have a discussion. But by the end of the day, it is really up to the supervisor to justify that.
Okay. Thank you, Christina.
You're welcome.
There's one more question in the chat, Hector.
I can definitely answer number one, which is UT system policy. And something I forgot to mention is that once we receive all it's important to have all the evaluations on file. And if we don't have an evaluation on file, you're probably gonna hear from somebody from our team following up to ensure that those evaluations are complete. And the reason we do this is because as per UT system policy, UTRGV needs to certify that staff receive an evaluation within that period. So to answer your question, is because of our policy and UT system policy. So people think an evaluation of exceeds expectations or good evaluation automatically. Does a good evaluation amount to automatic pay? Again, it goes back to what Christina just said and to the merit guidelines regarding the merit and races.
And you know what? That's actually a good point, because it could also be that I got my evaluation from Hector. He gave me a 5. He thought I was amazing. But then in between evaluation timeframe and merit, I moved departments. So I'm brand new to the job. I haven't been fully performing all the duties. So there are things that really do play into this. So as I said, there is no direct correlation that if you get a 5 on an evaluation, you will always get like the highest possible merit. There is additional consideration that needs to be had by the supervisor. So there really anything in regards to it will always be like that, or it will likely be like that. This is really a detailed review process that happens within the departments and the divisions.
There's another question. Is there a policy that suggests that exceed expectation is not attainable? No, not so. What I suggest and what I recommend supervisors to do is to meet with their employees to ensure the employee is aware of how they can improve, like areas of improvement, what they can do to reach those 4s, those 5s. At the end of the day, is depending on the position and the supervisor. But no, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it's not that HR doesn't want 4s and 5s. I mean, we do encourage 4s and 5s as long as there is not necessarily documentation, but examples to show like, oh, employee they exceeded because they created this new report, or they did the following extra, or they did X, Y, and Z. And this is why they have a 4 and a 5. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Tony, you had a question?
Hey, Hector, I joined a little late, but I a little bit. So in terms of evaluations, not for A&P roles, but for just the general evaluations, for those that have FMLA, how exactly, I know you had mentioned about possibly reporting that, how would one go ahead and list it on the actual evaluation?
So the only thing that as an employee or as a supervisor, so if you're the supervisor evaluating somebody who was out on, let's say, parental leave, FMLA, then all you need to do is exclude those months or the weeks, the days that the employee was out from the evaluation.
Okay.
The evaluation, we won't be able to change the period. So the period will say May 1st to April 2025. But internally, like in the back end, you as a supervisor just don't include
when it comes to like
evaluating
the employee.
Yeah, I mean, it should not be. Yes, if the employee was out, you should not include FMLA time or leave time.
On the actual evaluation, there's nothing that we actually have to list, correct?
No,
either as an employee or a supervisor.
No. And we usually recommend not to mention it because they're two separate processes. I mean, it's the evaluation, it's just work related when the employee was actually working, and FMLA, it's a completely different thing, not connected to the evaluation.
I thought so. I just wanted to make sure. I was like, let me. But thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, I think that's all the questions that we have at the moment. Thank you, Hector, so much for coming on and showcasing how the evaluations were. If you do have time, could you just in the chat enter the email and your contact
yeah.
information in case anybody has any information, they can go ahead and reach out to you.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Moving on with the agenda, the next part of our agenda is a committee report. I'll hand it over to Communications Committee Co-Chair Cristina Rodriguez.
Hi, good morning, everyone. The announcement we wanted to make today is in regarding to graduation. So there are a lot of staff employees that are graduating. And so I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat, but you should have received an email. If you are graduating, if you would like to send your photos over, we would like to go ahead and promote and post on our social media platforms. And you can send it to us through social media or via email. I put the information below of what you can provide. And this is, the deadline is next Friday, May 2nd. Also, we have our social media platforms of Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube if you have any questions for anything. And then also, please don't forget to check out our website as we have all our information and our notes from our previous sessions listed there. I'd like to go ahead and pass it over to the Constitution and Elections Committee Chair, Yesenia Carter.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I am with the Constitution and Elections Committee. We are currently working on validating the vacancies per division. Oh, I'm sorry, my camera. The vacancies per division, the nominations are coming up. So be on the lookout for our email in about a month, towards the end of May, the beginning of June. Remember that there is each eligible employee within the division is able to nominate within their division. That is a very important a thing that we must always remember. We are also in the process of still creating the semi-automated nominations and elections process. So please stay tuned for the next fiscal year. As far as the Constitution, we are all up to date there. If you have any questions or concerns regarding the nominations that are coming up, feel free to send a Teams message to me, to my co-chair, to my team. We'll be happy to answer those questions for you. That is all for my report with the Constitutions and Elections Committee. I will now hand it over to the Business Processes and Staff Support Co-Chair, Elizabeth Salinas.
Currently, they're not here, neither one of them. But I was told that to inform you all that there was no updates for this committee. And so now it'll be handed over to the Staff Success Committee.
Thanks. Okay, so for staff success, I did just want to share some pictures and just some updates from the tabling session that we had at April 12th's baseball game. We did have a staff senate tabling or a table at the baseball game. We were able to give out pom-poms, and we had some activities for the kids as well. We had a great turnout at our table, but overall the game as well, it was the record-breaking game. So we had 537 attendance at that game. So we were able to experience part of that as well as a win. And then along with other updates for our committee, of course, we're getting close to the end of terms. And so we'll be getting ready for the upcoming year and really preparing for retreat and all that stuff that we need for upcoming staff senate. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Miraida.
I'll be stepping in for her for right now. So I'm going to open up the floor for any public comments or questions. Any public comments or questions? You can put in the chat or you can put them on there or open your mic.
Yeah, I have something new. For the parking committee, they have approved and there's a letter of support from Senator Chuy Hinojosa, Congressman Vicente Gonzalez, for an additional spaces for our veterans closer to the building on both campuses. And it's fully supported by the students also. Just that's my update.
Thank you, Dina. Irma?
Good morning, everyone. Let me open my camera. Good morning, everyone. I just want to highlight that there is an overview for Microsoft 365, including Copilot, that has been scheduled by UT System for all UT institutions, and we've been invited, and that will be on Monday. So I'm going to put a link on the chat. Just wanted to highlight and encourage everyone to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Jennifer?
Yeah, I had a question about that Copilot class because it said it was for chat and Teams, but I don't actually have Copilot in Teams. So I was wondering, and so I asked and someone said, oh, you have to get permission or you have to request Copilot in Teams. So I wondered if that's going to be at some point rolled out campus-wide or how that works.
Yes, so we do have about 444 licenses, and about half of them have been already assigned by some of the executives. And we do have about 200 licenses. And what we're doing, we're working with Microsoft with to schedule a couple of those sessions and invite the campus and see who wants to attend. And once you attend, it'll be on a first come first serve basis. You know, if you want one of those Teams licenses, it's a Teams premium license. It's Copilot run, but it's not called Copilot. There's an entire Copilot M365 license that we already exhausted, but there's going to be about 200 licenses, or there are 200 licenses available. So once, you know, the training is complete, you know, if you're interested in wanting one of those licenses, you see it as something you would be able to use and useful, then you can do that. But this one, it is about Copilot chat. I mean, just because you don't have the full M365 license, it just means that it's within each productivity tool, like it's Copilot within Word, Copilot within PowerPoint. But you don't necessarily need it. You still have access to the full-blown Copilot chat, which is very similar.
Okay, great. Thanks.
You're welcome. No charge, you know. There's no charge for that.
Thank you. Victoria?
Hi. I don't know. Mine's a little bit different. I'm actually, I know that they had mentioned earlier about students that are getting ready to graduate. And the issue I have is that I'm having a hard time finding courses for my major that are even offered in evenings or online anymore, because I know that they're trying to go all face-to-face. So I'm just wondering how I can go about, I mean, because for a non-traditional student who works all day long, I mean, 8 to 5, I'm worried that I won't be able to finish when I'm planning to, because, you know, I can't be leaving work during the day to go take classes. I don't even think that's allowed. So I'm just wondering, like, who I can reach out to about something like that.
No, yeah, absolutely. We can look into that for you, and we can give you some guidance and reach out. Okay, PJ just entered something in the chat that you may want to explore your options. So if you want, you can reach out to the graduate help desk at utrecht.edu for any assistance that you may need regarding taking courses that are scheduled during the day. So I would recommend reaching out to them.
Okay, right. Thank you.
No, thank you. Is there any other comments or concerns? I would just like to just mention that we do have this platform to have any staff members have any questions, or if they would like to promote any activities that are going to be happening throughout the university. This is your time to promote it. Also, we do have a feedback committee, feedback, or if you feel uncomfortable, bringing up a concern or a topic, please feel free to use our feedback option at Staff Senate, so we can address any concerns that you may have. and we can assist you on who you may need to connect or reach out to. So we'll be happy to do that for you. So just remember that. With that being said, if there's any further public comments or questions, will there now be a move to make a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
I second it.
Okay, thank you. Is there any debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? All those in favor, please state aye in the team chat. All opposed and any abstentions?
Okay, so our meeting has adjourned at 10:13 a.m.
Well, thank you everybody for attending our staff Senate meeting. I hope everybody has a great day. We'll see you the next time.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.